thank you all for joining this Saturday. Super excited to be here and to go over some things that are a little bit more playful, a little less strenuous. So the whole goal of what I'm going to be going over is going to be a bunch of stuff. During COVID, we've been sitting in a chair, typing away at a computer, bad posture. And what I want to do is show you a couple of simple movements that you can do throughout the day. No matter how stiff you are, no matter how sore you are, they're going to be movements that you can do that should hopefully help you feel better just by spending a few moments, seconds, or minutes doing some of these things. So with that being said, we'll not need a chair. So we're going to start off with breathing, because breathing is going to be the most important part with all of the movements that we're going to go over today. So with breathing, with stressful times, we often want to breathe up into our shoulders, which creates a whole kind of stress up here, which we don't really want. It'll stiffen up our necks. It'll affect our hips, our low back, and so on. So what we're going to start with, we're going to, if you have your area clear, we're going to start down on our stomachs with some breathing. So the reason we're going to start on our stomachs is so that you can feel your stomach pressing into the floor as you inhale, and then almost pulling away from the floor as we exhale. So what I want you to do, you're just going to lay your body straight out. You're going to have your hands under your forehead, your chin slightly tucked, and you're just going to focus on pulling the air in through your nose and out through your nose. So the position of your tongue should be right behind your teeth, but on the top part of your mouth. This will give you easier access to breathing through your diaphragm. So we're just going to go ahead and take about 10 breaths in this position. And what you're trying to feel is every time you inhale, is that your stomach pushes into the floor. Every time you exhale, you can feel your entire body soften. So sometimes it's helpful to just kind of shake your body out on your exhale to make sure you're not keeping any tension in your low back or in your glutes or your legs or your shoulders. So don't be afraid to just shake it out. Really try to turn this movement into your own, just focusing on your breath. So that should already do a pretty good number in just kind of helping to make you feel relaxed. So the next thing that we're going to do, you can all sit upright. So we're going to end up doing this one on our back, but I want to show you what your hand position is going to be doing, because it'll be a little hard to see once I'm down on my back. But you're going to find your belly buttons with your pointer fingers. You're going to trace around so that your fingers are in the front and your thumbs are in the back. But all of that should basically trace right around from where your belly button was. So we're going to go down onto our backs. So now we're just going to slightly flatten our low backs into the floor, and then we're going to do that same tracing with our fingers. So we'll find our belly buttons with our pointer finger, trace around, fingers in the front, thumbs in the back. And now our goal still is going to be the same thing with our breathing, where we're breathing in and out through our nose. Our tongue's at the roof of our mouth, but behind our teeth, so it's elongated. And what we want to feel is that as we breathe in, we can feel movement going into our thumbs and movement going into our fingers. So often what will happen, you might feel more pressure on one side than the other. So all I want you to do is try to concentrate on feeling even pressure on both sides in the thumbs and even pressure on both sides in the fingers. Every time you initiate your breath, really try to make sure it's starting right in between your fingers, expanding, and then it can travel up into your chest, but you don't want to have your breathing starting at your chest or in your shoulders. So we're just going to take a few more breaths in this position, really concentrating on trying to pull the air as low into our bodies as we can every single inhale, and then just allowing our bodies to soften on the exhales. All right, and then you can all sit up once again. So again, that breathing is going to be the consistent thing throughout all the movements that I'm going to go through today. So really try to focus on always breathing in through your nose and out through your nose, and just trying to get the air to go as low as you can, because we're really just trying to help open everything up. If we can get the shoulders to open, it'll usually help the hips to open up as well. And between those two things, if you have low back pain, that can really help dealing with low back pain, neck pain, pretty much anything, even your ankles. So what we're gonna do next is gonna be called rocking. So this is basically a movement that you'll see babies do before they begin crawling. So they kind of look like, oh, they want to move, but they haven't quite figured that out yet. But really what this will be is going to be the bottom position of a squat. So what we're going to want to do is check what our baseline squat feels like. So I'm not going to really give you any direction on how to do the squat. I want this to be however you would naturally go about doing this movement, and we're going to constantly kind of check this baseline as we do different variations of these rocking or resets, they're called. So you can all just come up to your feet, and we're just going to do 5 squats as our baseline. And all I want you to do is take note of how does it feel, you know, is there any pain, is there any stiffness, does it just feel hard, right? So you can just go ahead and do your 5 squats. All right. All right, so perfect. So take note of how that felt. And now what we're gonna do, we're gonna go down onto our hands and knees. So we're gonna start with our hands under our shoulders and our knees under our hips. And then we're gonna bring our knees to be shoulder width apart or slightly outside of that. And we're gonna bring our feet to the center, and you're gonna have your toes touching but pointing away from each other, or pointing away from your body, right? And then from there, all I want you to do is try to spread your fingers as wide as you can. And then really, really try to just feel your hands kind of pushing into the floor, your fingertips, your palms, shoulders pulled away from your ears. And then you should be able to see ahead of you. All of you looking at the screen is perfect. You'll want to keep your eyes pretty much on the screen the whole time. And all we're going to do from here is push ourselves back and then pull ourselves right back forward. So we're going to try to spend next to no time in that back position and not a lot of time in the front position. And remember, the breath is just in and out through your nose. So this should feel nice and relaxing, pretty gentle movement. You might feel a few things cracking and popping and releasing. And then from there, we're just gonna go back up to our feet. We're gonna get into our squat position again, and we'll do 5 more squats. And cool. All right, so you should be able to see, okay, did that one help me squat better? Did it feel easier to squat? And so on. So just kind of keep taking mental notes of how these things are feeling. But now we're gonna get back into pretty much that same position. So we'll start again with our hands under our shoulders, our knees under our hips. Then we'll bring our knees shoulder width apart, feet in the center, but now we're gonna tuck our toes under so that they're pointing up towards our knees. And then we're still gonna just rock back and forth. So this will probably limit the range of motion for some of you, but you might be feeling a nice little stretch through your ankles, your toes. And perfect. All right, so we're gonna check that baseline again. So you're gonna end up getting a lot of squats in, but only 5 at a time. So we'll do 5 more squats. And again, just taking note, does it feel easier? Are you all of a sudden sitting lower? Then once you've done 5, we're just gonna go right back down to the ground. So these resets just work in a weird way where they're just allowing your body to feel comfortable in these positions that oftentimes when we're upright, it takes more effort to get into. So our body will kind of have blocks built in. So this is just an easy override of that system to let your body know it's okay to be in some of these positions. So now we're gonna go back to that first rocking position with our toes pointing away from each other, our knees about shoulder width apart. And then we're gonna take one foot and place it on the heel of the other leg. And then from there, you guess it, you're just gonna rock back and forth. And then you can switch feet. So just switch which foot's on top. Still same thing, and then just rock back and forth. And cool. All right, so this is going to be the last squat for a little bit. So we're gonna go back up to our feet. We're gonna check our baseline once again. And just take note of how does it feel. Cool. All right, good. So should be feeling pretty good at this point. So there's a lot more different rocking variations that you can play with. At the end, we'll probably go over a few more of these variations. But what I want to get into next is going to be what's called head nods. So head nods are basically, you're just essentially moving your head is what it breaks down to on its simplest form. But really what it's retraining the body to do is where the eyes look, the head follows. So it really just helps to integrate the body as one unit so that we're not just chopped into basically just little pieces where our neck turns, but nothing else is incorporated with it. So then we're just overstraining our necks. So we're really trying to incorporate the entire body together. And what this is going to look like, we're going to be in that same rocking position. So you can have your knees shoulder width apart. Your feet can be in the center. It's your choice if you want to have your toes pointing away from you or tucked toward you. But what we're going to do, we're going to walk our hands back towards our knees so that our chest is in a way more upright position, but we're still able to keep pretty good pressure through our palms and our fingertips. So fingers still spread wide, palms placed into the floor. So as you're in that position, you're pushing your palms in the floor, you should feel that you're already creating a nice long neck where your shoulders are away from your ears. We're just gonna take a few breaths in this position. And then what we're gonna do, so our eyes are going to lead the motion. So basically we're gonna allow our eyes to look to a place first and then our head will follow. And you don't wanna limit this to just your neck, right? So we'll start with our eyes looking up towards the sky and then our head follows. And then we're gonna take our eyes and look down to the ground and then our head follows. So I'll show you this from the side. what this will look like. So as my eyes look up, you should notice that my back goes into a lot more extension, and then on the way down, you should see that my back kind of starts to round. So allow for all of that movement to happen as you're looking up and down, and you continue to breathe in and out through your nose. All right, so from there, we're gonna find straight ahead once again. So we're gonna start to look left and right. So basically, if there's an object or writing or something on the wall behind you, you're going to be trying to look and read whatever it is behind you, right? So we'll start with our eyes looking over our left shoulder, and then turning our head, trying to see behind us, and then over the other side. You're just gonna keep going back and forth, really try to make sure the eyes look first. And allow your body to move. So try not to be stiff, really try to just be relaxed and allow movement to happen. And you don't want to strain. So if it feels like you're hitting the end of the road, stop at that point. Don't try to force your way through. All right, so great. And then we can all come up to our feet. So as promised, I think that was a little while. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna test our baseline once again. So squat position and 5 more squats. If you're getting tired with the squats, do like 3 instead. All right, perfect, cool. All right, so now we're gonna do those same head nods in basically what's called a Sphinx position. So Sphinx is just going to be laying out completely with your elbows under your shoulders. And then now you wanna act as if your elbows up where your hands. So you're trying to really push your elbows into the floor, creating a nice long neck once again. And then our eyes are gonna lead the motion. So if you can, just try to wiggle your legs out, make sure you're not squeezing your glutes tight. You wanna be pretty relaxed in this position. And then we're gonna look up and down. So eyes up, then eyes down, head down. So this position is pretty much opposite of your sitting posture. You're in extension as opposed to flexion. So it's just a really good reset for your low back, for your neck, for your hips. And then you can find straight ahead. We're gonna look over one shoulder, try to see behind us, and then over the other. And perfect. And then we can slowly make our way back up. 5 more squats, and then this is it for squats, at least with me. Not sure about with Johnny or with Mark, but with me, this will be it. All right, so 5 more squats. Again, take note. Perfect. All right, cool. So the last thing that we're gonna do, so we went over rocking, we went over head nods. So now we're gonna go over crawling. So when I say crawling, first thing that comes to mind is probably down on the floor, but we're actually gonna start with standing, what's called cross crawls. So this is basically just trying to create some proprioception, or basically like mind-body connection between your 2 halves of your body. So really trying to do a good job of tying our opposites together, which of course will create a nice strong core. And the stronger you can create this connection, usually the stronger your hips are gonna be, the better off your back is going to feel in the long run. So what we'll start with is just standing in this nice, relaxed, upright position. So we wanna imagine that the crown of our head is being pulled towards the sky, right? And then we're gonna take our right hand and we're gonna touch our left knee in the center of our body. So we wanna try to have neither limb crossing the center line of our body, right? So they should be meeting right at that middle point, and then you'll place it back down, and then we'll switch sides. And we're just gonna keep going back and forth. And try to keep your breathing, just continue to be in and out through your nose, and not matching with your movement, just being relaxed the entire time. So this is a good thing to kind of reset your gait pattern. This is also one of the biggest resets you can do, because while you're walking around, you can basically think about driving your knees up higher, you know, creating some strength in your hip flexors, just get your shoulders moving, your hips moving. It's just really overall a great thing for your body. But so now what we're gonna do is pretty much that same thing. But if this next movement makes it so that you can't stay tall, just resort back to doing this one, right? So we're gonna try to take opposite elbow to that knee without crunching, right? So you wanna remain tall as you switch from side to side. And again, just keep breathing in and out through your nose. And perfect, good. So now that you have this opposite pattern going, we're gonna try to bring it down to the floor. So we're gonna start on our hands and knees. We're gonna have our knees under our hips, our hands under our shoulders, and try to have your toes tucked if you can, but if that's too uncomfortable, feel free to have them pointed away. But so we'll have our toes tucked, and then I want you to not look at the floor, but you're gonna try to see ahead of you. So don't look so far ahead that you feel like some cramping going on in the back of your neck. Find a comfortable position that you're still able to see ahead of you, but you're not creating any sort of pain. And then from there, what we're gonna do is we're gonna move our left arm and our right leg forward just a little bit, baby step. And then we're gonna move our right arm and our left leg forward. Again, these are just gonna be little tiny motions. And then we'll just go right back. So don't worry about keeping the pattern on the way back for now. We're just gonna try to work this forward motion. So again, seeing ahead of you, don't try to control your spine. So once you lift your head up, your back should go into a little bit of extension, because this will give us pretty much our natural curve in our spine. It's not flattening anything out or trying to keep it flat back like we would during some heavy lifting drills, right? So again, we're just gonna move left arm, right leg forward, right arm, left leg forward. Fingers spread as wide as they can. Good pressure through the palms and toes. And then we'll go back, and then we're gonna try this one more time with our knees slightly off of the floor. So then you can really get how you can drive your shoulder away from your ear, access your lats a little bit more, but really get your feet strong, right? So you're gonna lift your knees about a ½ an inch off of the floor, so pretty much as close to the ground as you can. And then we're gonna move our left arm and our right leg forward, and our right arm and our left leg forward. Again, really try to grab the ground with a huge hand. And perfect. Then you can just go right back. And then all we'll do is get right into our rocking position again. And we'll get rid of any of that tension that we just created. So just rock back and forth. You can push yourself towards one heel, towards the other. And just relax. Cool. All right. And then that is it for my little segment. Hope you enjoyed that part and that you're feeling nice and relaxed and also nice and mobile as well. And also maybe not too strained. So good.